Okay, we're ready to get our council meeting underway. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your attendance here this evening. Just our normal housekeeping rule for our members of the public and council laws. Could turn your mobile devices off or on silent, please. So thank you for that. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Scott Taylor, our Manager for Planning, who is here should we need to answer some planning issues. Mr. Bird.
Recording and live streaming of council meetings. All council meetings are filmed with both video and audio being recorded. The video is focused on a specific area, however audio from the entire room is captured. By speaking at any time during the meeting, you consent to your voice and any comments you make being recorded. The reasoning behind recording council meetings is of course to hold us more accountable and improve transparency of council's decision making to our community. The full meeting is being streamed live on council's YouTube channel, which is Alpine Shire Council, and will also be available on the YouTube channel shortly after this meeting.
Thank you. Item 2, if we could stand please.
The Alpine Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we are now on. We also acknowledge those people who have contributed to the rich fabric of our community and strive to make wise decisions that will improve the quality of life for all.
Thank you. Item 3, confirmation of minutes. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Knapstein. Councillor Keeble. Is there any dissent? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Apologies, there are nil. Obituaries and congratulations. From my left, Councillor Keeble.
I'm just looking at the ordinary council meeting. Is that skipped or?
No, we've just done that.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah. Councillor Nicholas.
I just have a congratulations to the Alpine Cycling Club for running an excellent tour of Bright yet again. I couldn't get a final number of volunteers that contributed, but a massive number over the 3 days of the event, and thanks to the community for managing road closures and all the cyclists who are on the road. But a great event, and numbers were down from the year before, but they're hoping to rebuild.
Thank you. Councillor Roper?
No, nothing.
I'd just like to congratulate all those people that stood for election in the recent state elections and recognise Mr Dyer with a strong showing. Well done.
Thank you. Nothing for me. Just... Right. Just congratulations from me. I have 2 awards here to be presented. Both these awards for 10 years service to our community for councillors. These were presented by the Municipal Association of Victoria, and they are for Councillor Peter Roper and Councillor Tony Keeble. So I'll just present those myself.
Yeah, what's this? Is it a baton or something?
A tie pin.
A tie pin?
Yes.
Another one?
Yes, well, when you wear a tie.
For those watching.
Yeah.
Can they both stand up on the table and get a photo taken?
No, we won't do that.
It's made in China, look at that.
Wear it with pride, councillors.
Absolutely.
Item 6. Declarations by councillors of conflict of interest. Are there any? None?
No.
Thank you. Item 7, public questions. Questions on notice. There are no written questions on notice tonight. And just for the public's notification, I will not be taking any questions in relation to a later item in this agenda on item 8.3.8, which is a planning matter. There has been planning forums and ample opportunity for members of the public to contact councillors. So the matter is before council again tonight for a notice of decision. Are there any questions from the floor? Mr. Dyer, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, if I don't get rudely disrupted and talked over, is that I've spoken before about my electric bike being taken, or I'd put it down as stolen by the Shire. The Victoria Police Force say one thing, they didn't give the Shire permission to take it, and the Shire Ranger said the police did. When I spoke at a council meeting 2 months ago, I think it was, you, Mr. Mayor, turned around and said take it up with the police. I class that as straight out dictatorship, not leadership.
That's a statement, sir. What is your question?
My question, are you going to look into it and find out what happened to that bike? Because mysteriously the bike was found again after the Ranger Len said to the sergeant in Bright that the bike was disposed of, after I was supposed to have been given a letter, paperwork, before the bike was even taken. The paperwork that was sent to me 3 months later, it came back to the Shire. I have not seen it. The bike was gone. The bike turned up again. You said I had to pay $100 impoundment. I'm not paying that at all. The bike was stolen, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank
and
you.
I want it back. Are you going to give it back? Or are you going to look into it? No?
Not up to me, sir.
Well, I'll talk to the CEO about that then.
No, you won't. Not at this meeting, you won't. You can do privately. However, I have told you before that this matter has been dealt with by the police, by our staff, and I am satisfied as the Mayor that it has been dealt with correctly.
No, you never said that. You just said last meeting that you wouldn't discuss it. Take it up with the police was your words.
Thank you, sir.
And that's not the leadership of a mayor.
Thank you, sir. If you'd like to take your seat again.
I will, but I've got another question.
If I allow it. Are there any further questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Trish Cross, representing the Upper Kiewa Valley Community Association this time. And it's probably the one thing that you're probably expecting. As the one question that the community bails me up about, knowing I'm on the association, is the swimming pool issue at Mount Beauty. Now, if we would really appreciate, because we were told last meeting we might get regular updates as to what's happening, and there are people working there, so the questions are, when is the proposed opening date? When will the season's tickets be available? How much will they be? These are all the questions that we get asked, everybody's getting asked. Who will be managing the pool? And even though the work is progressing there, it's certainly not finished. I had a look this afternoon, walked past it. There's nowhere near being finished in a week or two, in my estimation. Have the other following regular problems that happen each year been checked out as in the planning? The solar heating always is a big problem each year, and I don't know if anybody's been there. I know it's not wonderful solar heating, but I don't know if anybody's been there to check it out. Perhaps they can't because there's no water.
So, Ms Cross, we're getting into a number of questions now.
Yep. So it's all about the pool
It is all about the
Yeah.
pool, and I'm advised by the CEO that we can speak to you after the
That's what I thought. If you can give me some
meeting,
answers so
because there
that
are a
I
number
can
of
go
questions there that I understand from our briefing session. There are answers to a lot of them, and they can be answered to you directly so that you can take it back to the community.
back. And I think the one thing I would like to add is that the Alpine Shire, the Facebook site, or somebody, just keep people up to date as to what's happening, and that would solve a lot of the whinges. I'll see you later.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the floor? Mr. Dyer?
My second question... Oh, my name's Ray Dyer and I live at Ovens. My second question is, for the last 12 years I've been asked to put everything in writing to the Shire. Now, before the last council elections, the previous councillors, I put a letter in them about a month before the election and said, if you're not going to meet with me, I'd like it in writing the reason why you won't. It's been ongoing for many years. Nothing was done about it. But when I asked the Shire to put in writing, they won't do it. That's two standards as far as I'm concerned. You expect me to put in writing every time, which I've done, and there's quite a few letters I've put in that haven't been even acknowledged. Charlie, I'd like to know what's going on with those letters, because I didn't put them in for just the sake of putting them in. There was a reason, and nothing's been done about them. I'd like to know why, and why you have not put anything into me to say the reason why you're not going to.
Sorry, there are a number of questions there, sir, so we can speak to you
No,
after
the question
meeting.
is, I put in writing every time, and the
Yes.
writing I put in, and quite a few letters I put in, you've totally ignored.
I'm aware that you have...
And I want to know why.
I'm sorry, just listen. I'm aware that you have been replied to in writing on many, many occasions.
No, Mr Mayor, I put a letter in from Mount Buffalo Chalet to the Mayor, and that was over 7 or 8 years ago.
Well, sir, we will agree to disagree, so if you'd like to take your seat again.
So are you going to write a letter to me the reason why you're not going to meet with me?
I've told you that before.
You're not. After nearly 2007 I've been waiting.
No, I'm not. Take your seat again.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Have a nice day.
Thank you, and same to you.
Come every meeting and ask the same two questions. I think I've got every right, Mr Mayor.
No, sir. I will take the questions that I believe are relevant to the meeting.
Well, what about we try toilets? 10 years you haven't been having to get enough.
Oh, no. We're just going to stop this now, Mr. Dyer. Thank you.
Mr Mayor, no worries. I'll go so there won't be any trouble. I'll be back next week.
You're more than welcome to stay, sir.
No, I'm a bit crook.
Okay. I hope you get well. Item 8. 8.1, Chief Executive Mr. Bird. 8.1.1, contracts approved by the CEO.
So moved.
Well,
Second it.
Councillor Pearce,
Oh, it's pretty
Councillor
straight-
Nicholas.
Pretty straightforward there, Mr Mayor. Minor contracts, a few repairs. Mount Beauty Pool, new splash pad. So, well done.
Thank you. Anyone against? Take to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.1.2, Alpine Shire Council 2019 Schedule of Ordinary Council Meetings.
Second.
Councillor Forsyth. Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Forsyth, anything to say?
No, just the observation that next year... Oh, yeah, better get recorded. The observation that next year, because the first Tuesday in November is always Melbourne Cup Day, our meeting in November is usually a bit later, and therefore we have decided, I believe, to put the meeting for December, instead of having it just 2 weeks later, we've got it a bit later in December, which would normally be our special council meeting. So, just an observation. And I'm glad to see we're going to Mount Beauty and Myrtleford. However, would have been nicer to split them.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I think that's because there are renovations in the premises here, in the office. Councillor Nicholas, you? No, okay. Any dissent? All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.2.1, Dinner Plain Mountain Bike Trail Construction Stage 2. Mr. Jeremy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report relates to the award of the Dinner Plain Mountain Bike Trail Construction Contract Stage 2. The work includes the construction of 3.8 kilometres of new mountain bike trail, including 2 elevated structures, and the rehabilitation of 590 metres of redundant trail. Planning for the development of the new trails in Dinner Plain commenced in 2015, and the necessary approvals to construct 7.1 kilometres of new trail were secured in 2017. Stage 1, consisting of 3.3 kilometres, was successfully delivered in early 2018, and Stage 2 will add a further 3.8 kilometres, which will provide riders of all abilities with access to over 18 kilometres of mountain bike trail in Dinner Plain. The project was not budgeted for delivery in 2018-19, as the outcome of a funding application was awaited at the time of budget adoption. Subsequent to adoption of the 2018-19 budget by Council, grant funding of $130,000 was announced by Sport and Recreation Victoria. The Dinner Plain community has been engaged throughout the planning of the new mountain bike trails, from the development of the master plan through to implementation. The local mountain bike club, DP Riders, has played an active role throughout the project and continues to support the implementation and maintenance of the trail network. The
Councillor Keeble. Councillor Roper. Councillor Keeble.
First or after?
Yes, you're first.
Thank
You're
you.
the mover.
It's a great outcome there for Dinner Plain to get those trails up there. Great outcome with the funding, and looking forward to seeing the project finished.
Yeah, Councillor Roper.
I'd like to thank the Sport and Recreation Victoria for $130,000, because without that this project would have relied on significant Alpine Shire funds or Dinner Plain ratepayer funds.
Okay, any further comment? Councillor Nicholas.
I'd just like to add that increasing the offerings for mountain bikers across the northeast is fabulous, as it gives people more things to do when they're in the area, spreads them out a bit, but particularly contributing to what we've already have on offer in the Alpine Shire, including both the Mystic Mountain Bike Park and the Big Hill Mountain Bike Park in Mount Beauty is great, and I think that it will help bring different levels of rider into the area.
Thank you. Any further comment to the vote? All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.3.1, appointment of councillors to represent council on groups and committees. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council participates in a range of special and advisory groups and committees, including those directly operated by Council and others operated by external parties as considered relevant. Participation in these groups helps to enable good governance and decision making. The purpose of this report is to recommend councillor representation on the key groups and committees for the year ahead. I have a number of committees and a proposed 2018-19 representative, if I may run through them. So the recommendation is that councillors be appointed firstly as council's delegates on the following groups and committees, being non-executive committees. So the Municipal Association of Victoria, the representative Councillor Janis. The Hume Region Local Government Network, Councillor Janis. Alpine Shire Council Audit Committee, Councillor Forsyth and Councillor Knapstein. The Alpine Shire Council Finance Committee, Councillor Forsyth and Councillor Knapstein.
Can just slow down the electric type fingers. They're a little bit slow.
The Alpine Shire Council Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, Councillor Knapstein and Councillor Janis. The Alpine Shire Council Community Resilience Committee, Councillor Knapstein. The Alpine Children's Services, Councillor Keeble. The Alpine Alliance between Council and Alpine Health, Councillor Knapstein. Council should consider whether to appoint a council delegate to the following groups. These are non-executive groups as well. The North East Waste and Resource Recovery Group, or Forum, with the representative of Councillor Nicholas.
I'd like to join. I've spoken to him. Can come on that with Councillor Nicholas as proxy.
So Councillor Pearce to be nominated as Councillor Nicholas as proxy. And the Lake Buffalo Land and On Water Management Plan Implementation Group, no representative. The National Timber Councils Association, Councillor Pearce. And the third group being council, note the following councillor appointments made by external organisations, being the Municipal Association of Victoria, the appointee is Councillor Janis, whose term expires in March 2019 as elected by the North East Victorian Councils. The Mount Buffalo Destination Advisory Group, whose appointee is Councillor Janis. The Mount Buffalo Business Case Assessment and Activation Task Force, whose appointee is Councillor Janis. The MAV Emergency Management Reference Group, appointee Councillor Janis and Councillor Knapstein. And the MAV Environment Committee being Councillor Nicholas. That's the recommendation.
Thank you. So moved by Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Pearce seconded. Councillor Nicholas.
It's good to see a bit of change, I think, across the organisation, and the people who are remaining in their roles will carry a lot of information and expertise through.
Councillor Pearce.
No, thanks.
Okay. Any other comments?
Welcome aboard to Councillor Forsyth on the Audit Committee and on the Finance Committee, and we'll miss you, Sarah, but Councillor...
Go, Johnny, go. Yeah.
Councillor Roper.
I was going to say I take my hat off to the fellow councillors who have the time and the inclination to be involved in these committees. In the past I've been involved on the Finance and the Audit Committee rather heavily, and I'm glad that Councillor Forsyth is again joining the Finance Committee. And to all my fellow councillors, good luck.
Thank you.
And especially to Councillor Keeble with Alpine Children's Services, which I think is causing a bit of a headache for him at the moment.
Thank you. Any further comment? No, take it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Item 8.3.2, Quarterly Report, Council Plan. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report provides the first quarterly report for 2018 against the Alpine Shire Council Plan, set 2017 to 2021, and the recommendation is that the Alpine Shire Council Plan quarterly report be received and noted.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholas, seconded.
Second.
Councillor Keeble. Any commentary?
Just a couple of things I wanted to pick out. One of them is the balanced scorecard that is being developed by the officers to help us track how we're going, requested by the Audit Committee, and I think it will be a great tool. And also the completion of the Alpine Events Park multi-purpose facility, and I was fortunate enough to be able to congratulate and thank volunteers across the Alpine Shire and beyond in that facility not so long ago, and it was really great. A really, really good building and resource that we now have.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Keeble.
And I'd like to add to that of Councillor Nicholas, the Myrtleford Caravan Park, the extensive process and the long-term lease for the operation and management of that park. That's taken us many years to get to that space, so that's a great outcome for the first quarter. And then a continual with festival and event funding that was awarded ahead of this busy event season that was already completed, so that's terrific too. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further comment, take it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Item 8.3.3, the Finance Committee Charter.
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr
Cook.
Mayor. Council holds a quarterly Finance Committee to advise on good financial governance. The Finance Committee Charter was adopted by Council first in July 2016 and is now due for review. The main changes to the Charter proposes a move from some task-based outcomes to a more outcomes-based approach rather than advocating for a more task-based approach to reviewing the finance documents. This is to enable us to provide greater clarity over our objectives and a greater flexibility to vary the committee activities to meet the desired outcomes.
So moved.
Councillor Nicholas. Seconded. Councillor Keeble. Councillor Nicholas.
Both the Finance Committee and the Audit Committee looked at the Finance Committee Charter, and we're really pleased to see that it was altered towards outcome rather than task, and it will help to drive what the committee achieves.
Yeah, Councillor Keeble.
No, I just concur.
Yeah, any further commentary? To the vote, all those in favour? It's carried. Item 8.3.4, the Finance Report Quarterly Review.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the finance report for the quarterly review for the period ending the 30th of September 2018 to Council. The recommendation is that the finance report is received and noted.
Yeah, move and second, please. Councillor Knapstein.
Second.
Councillor Forsyth. Councillor Knapstein.
I'd just like to comment. I'd just like to comment that I like the comparing the budgeted to the actual. It gives it a transparency, and people can sort of see where we're at and what we're doing and how much we've spent, and it sort of spells it out for me too. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Forsyth.
Yes, look, I note, pardon me, and I haven't been on the Finance Committee for a couple of years now, but I note in the background explanations are provided for variances to budget greater than $100,000. However, when I go into the highlights down there, I note that some are under $100,000. So is this at the, what do you call it? Is this at the behest or at the whim of the finance officer as to what's pulled out that is maybe well over budget or under budget?
So in preparing the report, an assessment is made as to the materiality of the difference. Obviously, a quarter one finance report with a forecast is going to be slightly different than as the quarters move through, because often your forecasting is slightly uncertain in that first quarter, and as you move more into your budget, your expenses move on more into your budget stream, then that variation changes slightly. So you'll see the quarter two report will look a little different to the quarter one report in terms of the variations. So there is an assessment made as to the materiality, and then the report is reviewed in detail by the Finance Committee. That report is then presented to the Audit Committee before it comes here. So there is a number of sections of oversight as to the materiality of the variations through the notes.
So backing up my question then, the actual full finance reports would be available to Council, not just an abridged version with whatever the variances are?
Yes, so this is an agenda report, which is a summary. The actual finance report is an appendix to the attachment to the agenda papers.
Thank you.
Okay, any further comment? No? Take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.3.5, the Audit Committee meeting, 26th of October 2018. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the minutes and recommendations of the Audit Committee meeting which was held on the 26th of October 2018. The key items presented to and considered at that committee meeting included the VARGO final management letter for the year ending 30 June 2018, our critical functions review, our risk register review, the balance scorecard, draft balance scorecard that Councillor Nicholas referenced earlier, and our health and safety report. And the recommendation is that Council receives and notes the minutes of the 26 October 2018 Audit Committee meeting and adopts the confidential Q1 health and safety report.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholas.
So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Knapstein. Councillor Nicholas.
Haven't got a lot to add to the report except that the critical functions review portion at the Audit Committee we discussed loss of multiple functions at the same time, which was quite a good exercise to see just how quickly we thought we could recover as required if we had major disasters. It was a good process.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor.
Yes. Councillor Roper.
I'm sorry to councillors Knapstein and Nicholas. I'm a little bit concerned that you two sit on this committee and then you're moving the motion that we accept this as a mover and seconder of this, and I think it'll be right and proper if you removed your
Are you calling for a point of order?
No, not a point of order.
Roper.
I'm asking. It's not a point of order realistically. I'm just trying to point out that I think that when a report comes from a subcommittee, when the two people that are moving and seconding it also are the delegated council officials on that report, perhaps it should be moved and seconded by someone. And I'm just seeking leave of the mover and the seconder to withdraw their movement and seconding of the item, and I'm quite happy for them to speak after the motion's been moved and seconded, but I just have a concern. So I'll leave it up to...
I'll have a discussion. Councillor Nicholas?
We have moved and seconded before, Pete. I mean, Councillor Roper, and there hasn't been a concern, but I don't have any concern at withdrawing and leaving it for other people if you think it's that important.
Well, I was just, for purposes of transparency, I'm not fussed about it. It was perhaps something we have I was thinking at it, looking at it then, and when it's fresh in my mind because we've just done this. So...
Councillor Knapstein.
I'm with Councillor Nicholas. I'm quite happy if that sits better with you to withdraw. Either way, what do other councillors think?
Can I say?
Councillor Forsyth.
The recommendation is to receive and note the minutes of the 26th of October Audit Committee meeting. All we're doing is receiving and noting the minutes. There's no policy application or anything else. So I think that anybody can actually move and second this one.
Mr Mayor, I
Yes,
concur
Councillor
with
Pearce.
Councillor Forsyth on the matter, and I'm quite happy to take the motion forward from
That's
Councillor
moved.
Nicholas and with Kitty as well.
I just wanted to bring the subject up, and I think it's okay for us to have a discussion about it.
That's okay, but I think what Councillor Forsyth said sort of made it pretty simple.
Yep.
And thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Roper. I think it does show that we are aware of governance issues in relation to the running of council. But in this instance, I accept the motion as put by Councillor Nicholas and seconded by Councillor Knapstein. Is there any other comment in relation to the report as presented? Take it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? None? Carried. Item 8.3.6 Airport Service Lease for hangar at Mount Beauty Aerodrome.
Thank you.
Ms Cook, I think.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report relates to the leasing of land at the Mount Beauty Aerodrome for the purposes of erecting a hangar. The recommendation is that Council approves and executes the lease of the real estate forming part of Lot 2 PS 705744 Embankment Drive, Mount Beauty for aircraft hangars, and signs and seals the lease document at the appropriate stage of the meeting.
So moved.
Councillor Keeble.
Second.
Councillor Pearce. Councillor Keeble.
I do note that this lease is for 10 years plus a 10-year option, so it's a good lengthy lease. It shows their commitment to the particular activity in that part of our shire, their commitment to it, so well done.
Councillor Pearce.
Concur with my dear friend, Councillor Keeble.
Any further commentary?
Well, it's
Yes,
good to see the paving down for the hangars. They're coming along, the paving's up, and it's looking forward to the building of the hangars.
Indeed. We'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? Yes, carried. Thank you. Item 8.3.7 Harriettville Community Green Waste Facility Lease.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report relates to the leasing of land off Newman's Lane in Harriettville for the purpose of the operation of a community green waste facility. It is proposed to enter into a lease with the Harriettville Community Forum, referenced as HCF, for the purposes of the provisional land for community green waste off this parcel of land. The lease has been prepared for a period of 2 years. There are no further terms provided for under this lease. The lease terms under the lease have been agreed by the HCF. A review of the operations of the facility under the terms of the lease will be undertaken in February of 2019 and again in February 2020 to determine if a longer lease will be proposed into the future, and that would be returned back to Council at that time.
So moved.
Councillor Keeble.
Second.
Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Keeble.
This particular item's been on our radar and discussion for a little bit, and it's good to see that we have some commitment to this project at this stage. It's for the next 2 years, and I think it's been well thought through in regards to what we do and what the fine folk of Harriettville do. So let's see where this goes. So good luck with the one.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholas.
Nothing to add.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes. In the past, I note that there has been trouble with the dealing of the mulching of the waste, and I wonder out loud what is going to happen if the pile cannot be mulched with Council's $3,000 per annum. Where is the extra funds going to come from to complete the mulching?
Ms Cook, do you...
The operation of the facility will be the responsibility of the Harriettville Community Forum under this lease. The Council is attributing a budget contribution of $3,000 per annum towards that operation. All other costs associated with the operation will be borne by the Community Forum.
Right, so we get to a situation probably similar to what we had last year, where they can't actually manage this pile they've got. The cost runs over $3,000. They commit the funding. Have they sufficient funds to deal with that or not?
So under the terms of the lease, the operation will be their responsibility. There are no further terms that would enable them to return to Council for additional funding. Of course, as with all our community groups, we have open discussion as things change, but this is a formal commercial lease with the Harriettville Community Forum for the operation of that site.
So my question is about the clean-up of the site, if they cannot fulfil their obligations, so that'll come back to Council.
That would then be in breach of the lease terms of this lease.
I understand the CEO has a comment. Mr Bird.
Councillor Roper, I understand they'll undertake the mulching on a more frequent basis to ensure it doesn't build up to come to so the material remains green or before it hardens and dries out, so it can still be mulched. Does that answer your question?
So they're going to self-manage the product that goes in
and they're going to decide whether the product's suitable to be mulched or not before it's actually delivered.
So on page 30 of the report, there's a dot point that summarises that HCF is responsible for the successful conduct of the mulching service, including advertising and promotion, membership, security, maintenance, monitoring and the disposal of the foreign material, as well as beautification of the site. So under the terms of this lease, this is a lease of land. The operation of the site is solely at the responsibility of the Harrietville Community Forum.
Thank you. Any further comment?
Thank you.
Councillor Knapstein?
I think Harrietville community is really keen to make this a success, so I think they're going to be quite diligent in observing their responsibilities.
Councillor Pearce?
Yeah, I concur with Councillor Knapstein there. On the positive side of things, I think it's a good agreement between the Harrietville community and the Shire, and you've got to have a bit of a punt now and then. These people it's been going on a long time organising this, and I think it's pretty much in hand.
Thank you. Any further comments? Take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.3.8, planning application 3-lot subdivision. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report refers to the planning application 5/2018-51 being 3-lot re-subdivision.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to come in with
Yes, Councillor Pearce.
with an alternative motion.
Councillor Pearce.
And my alternative motion is that a notice of decision to grant a permit be issued for the 3-lot re-subdivision as per the conditions that are up on the screen now, and I think Adam and Renee have seen most of these conditions.
Just a moment, Councillor Pearce, so that councillors can just properly view that. We'll just get Mr Jeremy. Have you... I understand you have that alternate motion or motion there. Oh, there it is.
Here.
There we go. Could you just read that again for me,
Yeah,
Councillor Pearce?
that a notice of decision, this is the alternate motion, that a notice of decision to grant a permit be issued for the 3-lot re-subdivision in Sanctus Lane and Centenary Avenue at Wandillagong as per what's on the screen and what we're holding. All those conditions on the following 3 pages.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Do I have a seconder for the Councillor Pearce's motion?
Second motion.
Councillor Keeble. Councillor Pearce.
What do you want?
Do you want to talk
I
to,
want to talk
your
to
motion?
I don't want to waste too much time. I'm just happy that it's here and now we're voting on it, and I hope we can move through it pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Keeble.
No further comment.
Any other comment? None? Okay. Well, and there's nothing further you want to add, Councillor Pearce?
No, it's pretty straightforward what I'm put up, and
So
look, I could sit here and go on, but I'm not.
Okay.
I just want to move it through.
There is a number of pages there with some conditions attached to that, so councillors think they've had enough time to read that. We can take it to the vote if they're happy to do that. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Renee.
Just noting that the council report that was presented to council is merely a recommendation from the officer. Okay. Oh, that's appendix. That's the appendix. Assembly of Councillors, thank you. Item 9, Assembly of Councillors. Basically, the recommendation, the summary of the Assembly of Councillors for October-November 2018 be received. Just to move in a second. Councillor Knapstein, Councillor Nicholas. Yep. All those in favour? Yep. Procedural. Item 10, general business from my left. Councillor Keeble. Councillor Pearce.
No.
None. Councillor Nicholas.
No.
Councillor Roper.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm requesting from the CEO and the Director of Assets an updated footpath building plan, so as to ensure that we know what footpaths are in the pipeline going forward. Because the last one was done in, I think it was 2006, is it correct? Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Bird.
Thank you, Councillor Roper. We look forward to presenting that to you. It might be a good opportunity to present to mention Council's project pipeline, which is it now live, Mr. Jeremy, or is that tomorrow? Tomorrow will be live, which actually has all the footpaths which were identified in the footpath strategy. That was 10 years ago, but due for an update.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Bird. Councillor Forsyth, no. Councillor Knapstein.
I'd just like to make a quick observation that Myrtleford is taking shape beautifully, and I'm sorry that Ray's gone, but the toilet block is looking magnificent.
What a shame.
Yeah, I think it's looking good.
No further. I have no general business. Item 11, motions for which notice has previously been given. There are nil. And item 12, reception and reading of petitions. There are nil. Item 13, documents for sealing. Just a mover and this is procedural, so mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Knapstein.
Second.
Who was Councillor Keeble. Thanks.
Keeves.
Very good.
Keevesy.
All those in favour? Yep, carried. There being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 7:48 p.m. Our next meeting is the 18th, 19th, which is a Wednesday, in the chambers here. A special council meeting. It's a special council meeting. Thank you for all those who attended, and to those who are on YouTube. Look forward to the next meeting. Thank you. We'll turn off the device. Thank you.